This is a free speech platform, and therefore I'm going to say exactly what I think. The IRA were murdering terrorists. There was no freedom fighters about them. And I want people to understand this, and especially in America, because a lot of Americans funded them on a lie. If you go and read their Green Book, which is their constitution, in several places they swear an allegiance to socialism. Socialism is not social justice. It is an authoritarian state where the state have control. Now, the situation is that the British capitulated to the IRA because they switched tactics. They had someone called Jerry Adams, Martin McGuinness. They went, saying, we're doing this all wrong. We shouldn't be bombing the people of England. We should be bombing the city of London. This is their words, not ours, right? That's their strategy. Within weeks and months, in fact, definitely less than years, considering how long it went on for, bang, excuse the pun, what happened? They started blowing up the city of London, the banks. They targeted the banking industry. They targeted some infrastructure, but they weren't interested in the infrastructure of England, railways or anything like that. They're not interested in that. They was interested in the city of London, and that's what they targeted. And guess what, people? Within months, literally, of targeting them, putting massive bombs into the city of London, the financial centre, guess what happened? The British capitulated to the IRA. Who was in charge of the British government at that time? Tony Blair, a Marxist, a committed Marxist, a Fabian. He was the person responsible in his entire cabinet to surrendering to the IRA, surrendering to communists and socialists. And just to make sure everyone's clear here, Jeremy Corbyn, who I've gone and watched and listened to in the audience because he refused to speak to the public, he refused to speak to the cameras, right? Mainstream media, completely get it. But I wanted to listen to what he said. And because I went there and listened, people started saying, oh, you're a lefty, you're this, you're a communist, you're this, you're that. No, I'm an individual that wants to know what's coming out of his mouth. And the prime question I had for him was, do you believe in England and English independence? And he said, no. England should be split into 9 regions. This is about destroying England because it has a common law jurisdiction. That is the opposite to what the IRA, to what the Scottish SNP, to what the European Union and to what the globalists want. The globalists want a Roman law system which is centrally controlled. So as long as everyone understands what's going on, right, you have now got riots in Ireland. Not everybody, and I've said this 1,000 times, not everybody in Ireland supports the terrorist IRA or even Sinn Féin. But now the people are seeing what it is they were supporting. Your country is now being flooded because they intend to replace your population with compliant individuals, compliant to a rule of law that they will respect. Whether it backfires on them is another matter. But that's exactly what's going on. So you've now got riots in Ireland. So I want to say something else to you, and it's fairly obvious, yeah? You go around bombing these people in different parts in the world and do what you've done. These governments making these decisions, we will, NATO, etc. We're going to launch into Syria, we're going to launch into Afghanistan, we're going to launch into all these great places all around the world. You honestly believe that they're going to let that go? Because the ultimate responsibility for them governments is you, the people. I want you to all understand this. The ultimate responsibility for them governments is you. Whether they've demoralised you so you don't vote anymore, that's not material to these people who are dying all over the world. And I was one of the people that marched and stood against war in Iraq. I didn't want war in Iraq. I didn't want to bomb Syria. I didn't want to do any of them things. But let me tell you now, there were plenty of Islamic MPs and people who have been elected by Muslims in this country that stood in that British Parliament and voted to bomb Syria. When Islam and Muslims start turning around and saying, yeah, look what you've done to our brothers and sisters, you voted them in. So let's just get this straight. There are lots of people out there that don't believe in left and right politics, and I'm one of them. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe the Constitution is the solution. I believe that the people responsible for this are not just the politicians, but they are the institutions that have been infiltrated by socialist, Marxist, communists. And who allowed it to happen? The people did. You was easily manipulated, and now you're seeing the consequence. 5-year-old kids, we've had them in England. Little girl got a throat cut in front of her mum, playing on the swings. I'm giving you a warning, America. You may think you're isolated there. You're not isolated anymore. They're coming across your southern border. They're coming across in aircraft. They're coming across in containers. And you can't see it because the mainstream media are not showing you the invasion of your country. You are the independent United States of America, not Americans. You are Floridians. You are Texans. Take back your original constitution. Because in 1860, the British overlaid its system on Washington, D.C. with the help of Lincoln. Do you understand that? Because you need to understand what's going on, because you are walking into the biggest civil war the world has ever seen. And so are all these other countries, because they allowed communism and Marxism to take control of their institutions. Propaganda is the devil whispering in your ear. How many people are actually controlled, in effect, by the devil? And there's lots of people out there who'll be saying, he's a nutter, he's a nutter. No, I'm not a nutter. I'm witnessing it. I'm seeing it. And I'm seeing the other angle of it. And the other angle of it is, we, the people, are responsible for our institutions. Do you understand that? That's exactly how them 1.8 billion Muslims are going to see it. You've brought it on yourselves. Now you need to fight back. And the reason why these type of platforms, Rumble, are under attack is because there's people like me telling you the truth. You may not like the truth, but this is the truth. You are responsible. In England, not in America, but in England, there is a way that you can deal with this. You're never going to get past the politics. But if it kicks off, and I'm not suggesting, I'm not inciting violence, right? I'm telling you now, I'm not inciting violence. I want to make this absolutely clear. But if it does go that way, the first people that you should be going for is not your own community, but the judges. Do what they did in the Peasants' Revolt. They went for the judges. Why? Because there's a separation of powers. And the people who have persuaded everyone, including the judges, that that doesn't exist are the Marxists. Yes, Marxists within the academia that are teaching the judges. Even history. David Starkey. I never thought I'd say this, but he's one of them. He says, oh, I'm working class. He ain't working class. He's never done a day's work in his life. His mum and dad may have been working class, but that don't make him working class. 23 of my countrymen and women died last year at the hands of the police, directly at the hands of the police. And you will get people like Godfrey Bloom, another person that pretends to be something he isn't. You get these people say, oh, well, it must have been just, they've resisted arrest. These are unarmed people in the main that have been killed by the police, 5 of them during restraint. And these police officers, nothing happens to them. They don't even get disciplinary. They've killed someone. And no one says a word. Now, I want you all to understand, listen, I may be passionate, but it's the passion that keeps pushing this forward and keeps pushing us forward, right? Because we ain't going to surrender to these people. They're Marxists and communists. I'm getting emails from people in the High Court with their pronouns attached. When has that got anything to do with the rule of law? What your frigging pronoun is? And I'm talking to people at serious levels in the High Court. Pronouns are. We don't care what your pronouns are. We only care about the rule of law. And it's got nothing to do with your pronouns. We're paying him, people.